What is up, my friends? It is Sunday night and you're very welcome along to tonight's late night agenda. Appreciate you guys giving me some of your time. Tonight we're going to be asking that never-ending question. Are Liverpool really going to keep Arne Slot for the start of next season? Today, like yesterday and the day before, I've been trying to find out as much as I can. And honestly, at this point, the feeling really seems to be 50-50. Some people I speak to do believe the club are going to give him a chance to put it right next season. Others are sticking to the line that I've been giving you for a few weeks to say that they are planning for change. Truthfully, right now, your guess is as good as mine as to what is going to happen. So tonight I asked, do you think the club will keep Arne Slot for the start of next season? Let me know your thoughts on that one in the comment section. Look, should they keep him? Absolutely not. I don't think he should be given a chance next season. But the way things are going at the minute, I really don't know. My confidence in them firing him seems to have, well, taken a bit of a knockback, to be honest, today. The people that I spoke to were a lot less confident that he'd be gone, especially with the situation with Aston Villa being in our eyesight now. Chelsea, of course, losing to Champions League football. Some people think they keep him. No Champions League football. Everybody thinks he's gone. And this is what puts it really difficult for us fans, right? Because we want Champions League football. But most of us don't believe in the manager and don't think he should be here. So tonight we're going to try and, again, work through it together. So just got a message, by the way, of one person that I've been waiting for a response from today. And that person believes that he's gone in the summer. So let's wait and see. Look, if there are any serious football ambition in this club, he should be gone in the summer. We'll talk about why he should go versus why he should stay. We'll talk about transfer links and a bit of news actually that just came out about Andy Robertson. The club never actually offered Andy Robertson a new deal. Now, they did talk with Robbo, but there was no contract offer on the table for Andy Robertson to stay for next season. So we'll talk about that tonight as well. We'll discuss DIOMANDE. We'll talk about Real Madrid being big children who are now, well, apparently saying that the league is rigged. We'll tell you what that's about as well. But most importantly, I want to know how you guys are feeling after yesterday. Because I got a good night's sleep last night for the first night in a while after the Reds' victory. Obviously got up today, watched the Manchester City-Chelsea game. Chelsea weren't very good and City absolutely blew them away. So that was an interesting one. But what it also does with Villa drawing today, I think they drew. Certainly they're only 3 points ahead of us. It puts them right in our eyesight as well. Can Liverpool get up to the lofty position of 4th in the Premier League? Well, we'll find out over the next few weeks, right? Ben Palmer, how are you, Ben? Said Slot's tactics are truly a pain to watch. The players don't seem to understand what he wants to do. And that's my big fear, Ben. I'm with you, mate. I mean, this isn't just a tirade against Arne. I'm looking at this and logically. I'm looking at the performances this season. I'm looking at the motivation of the players. And I'm the same as everybody else. I don't want him to be here next year. I just don't think it's the right move forward for us. I don't think he's able to motivate. But it all comes down to what FSG want to do. And a lot of people are saying to me that seen Mike Gordon standing on the edge of the pitch with him yesterday before the game. Kind of, I don't know if that was a public backing. I don't know if it was just a conversation. I really don't know. But it shook a few people. And I'm probably one of them, to be honest. So, David Newell, how are you, David? Said he should have gone ages ago, but definitely after the PSG game. He was have any chance to win the second leg, we need Slot gone. Well, I think we can safely say, David, he's not going to be gone between now and the second leg, which is on Tuesday, but I do get your point. It's going to be a really interesting night on Tuesday because beating Fulham was a welcome result. But again, the performance was good and bad, left a lot to be desired, particularly the second half. But a clean sheet and a 2-0 win, you never turn your nose up to that. It's going to take a whole different type of performance, though, on Tuesday night against PSG. The guy, how are we, my man? City backed their manager with players in January. Now they have a real chance of a treble. While VVD's waffling about 5th being massive, no standards. So I'm glad you brought that up because one thing that's really gotten under my skin about our football club in the last year or so is that allowing of standards to slip. So I've been speaking to some people who are just fans who don't really have any inside information, but I've been speaking with them and asking them what they think, how they feel about the season as a whole. And a lot of them hark back to last season, the partying at the end of the season and the wrong message that sends out. So I'm with you, mate. If you really want to win, You should have backed the manager in January. We should have brought in Mark A. We should have done what we needed to do. But they didn't give us the best chance of success. And that worries me, because are we going to see again next season something similar? Arne given the chance to fail again, and when he ultimately does, we have a new manager in place by December time, let's say. But is that too late for the preferred choices? This is it's getting too messy now. People just want him gone. Yeah. Anyway, if he gets Champions League football, I think he stays, but wouldn't be shocked if he's gone by Christmas. This has shades of Man United and Ten Hag. So I agree that they might try to do that, but look at how that worked out. Like I keep saying, there isn't really much of a reference point in history for FSG to look at and think that keeping him on will be a success. You know, like I've said many times, I don't remember many managers turning it around from this position. And Arne Slot isn't a big enough character, in my opinion, to do it. Hi, Scuba Craig. People hating on Rio for his celebration is crazy. People are just arseholes online. I don't know what it is, mate, but why would you give out to Rio for the way he celebrated? You should be more just happy that the kid scored and what a great goal it was and that he's full of confidence. So, I don't know, man. It's weird if people are giving out about the celebration. I couldn't give a shite what way he celebrates as long as he keeps performing and putting the ball in the net like he has. And he surely got to start on Tuesday as well. So the preview for the PSG game, that's coming out tonight at 10:40. So do let me know what you think about that one. I've made a few changes to my predicted 11. Faisal, how are we? Or Faisal, excuse me, said, seeing Mark Gay giving a generational performance hurts to see as a Liverpool fan because he was so close to joining us. Yeah. So I seen the goal that he scored today for City. He took it like a centre forward. And yeah, it pisses me off, mate. You know, Semenyo I'm easy about because he was never really that strongly linked to us. But the situation with Mark Gay is one I'm never ever going to get my head around. I just don't understand what the club did there. You know, we brought in Jeremy Jacquet, and I'm sure Jeremy's going to be a great signing for the football club, but it didn't help us out this year, did it? And that's a big gripe I have with the owners. I don't really think they're giving us the best chance of success each season. I don't. And I think they've put some misplaced trust in people in positions of authority at the club. But look, I'm worried. I'm worried because I don't want another season written off. You know, I can't go through another season mentally like this season. Not again. Not with this manager. We deserve better than this. Do you think Klopp would have won more Premier League titles had he stayed? Yes. Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's too outlandish to say I do. Yeah, I do. Like, I would have been interested to see if he had been able to stay one more year, would he have been able to do what Arne did and get that league title? But I tell you what the biggest thing is for me. I enjoyed watching football under Jurgen. I don't enjoy watching football under Arne Slot. Even that victory yesterday, you know, I look back at it, I watched Match of the Day, I listened to what the pundits had to say, I looked through the data from the game, and I'm still of the mindset that it was two individual moments that won us the game rather than a good game plan. If you look at Rio's goal as an example, the referee plays a good advantage, Anthony Taylor plays a good advantage to allow Florian Wirtz to pick up the ball in the middle of the park, and he slips it in left side to Rio, and that was just class after that. So for me, that win didn't really come off the back of good managerial work, in my opinion. But I'll also sit here and say to you, I could be too tainted at this point. I could be just unwilling to give Arne credit for anything. And I do have to ask myself, is that the case? Because I'm so blinded by my desire to get rid of him at this point that I don't know if I'm being too unfair with it. You know, I don't. Let's face it, if we stay in FSG, don't want to pay him. I mean, if that's the case, mate, it's truly pathetic, isn't it? You know, because 7 million quid is roughly what it would cost, 7 or 8 million quid. Maybe 10 if you include his backroom staff. And for us to be penny pinching to such an extent that we couldn't afford that, I don't know. Like, what's that? A couple of places in the Premier League, something like that. Look, at this point, I'm torn as a fan because I want us to get Champions League football, but I don't want the outcome that might bring, which is him getting another season, or at least the start of next season. It looks like we're in the box seat now. It looks like Chelsea are fading away a bit, but we do have to play them, of course. But we have dragged Aston Villa back into the mix now as well. And remember, Aston Villa have their eyes set in the Europa League, and they're in a good position to get to the semi-final there. And we know Unai Emery's history with that competition. So I wonder if they're going to have, not a distraction, but a lot of pressure on their shoulders. So maybe we catch them and get up in the fourth spot. Yeah, I'm scared because, as I've said, and you guys have said many times, I don't know if I can sit through another season of it like that, like the way we're playing this year. PDEX said the proof is in the pudding. 2 individual players made a difference. That was my takeaway from the game. 2 great goals, from 2 good wide players. That's what I took from it. But after that, if you look at Emile Smith-Rowe with a good chance for Fulham, and we didn't put our foot on the gas, and that's an alarm sign for me, because he doesn't ever go for the throat, does he? He always seems to just back off a little bit when we go a couple of goals ahead. And yesterday, I think, was a chance to really put down a good marker ahead of PSG. Like, if you go win that game yesterday 3 or 4 and really kick on, I think it ends up with a bit of confidence in the team, a bit more confidence in the team ahead of Tuesday. Right now, we're going into Tuesday, and I'm still not expecting anything but us to get knocked out. Now, I don't know what the result on the night will be, but I don't think we're going through. This is tough, because I know there are people watching this and probably saying, he's just an arsehole. Me, I mean. And maybe they're right. Maybe they are. I'm at the point where I have to admit and put my hands up, I probably do have an agenda now at this point against the manager, because I can't take to him one bit. Every week that goes by, I feel more and more distant from the club that we all love. Speaking of managers, Fabregas is the future. Well, I don't know where he ends up. Barcelona might be on his horizon down the line. You never know. Chelsea could be on his horizon. Just don't really see Liverpool in that future, to be honest. And I haven't really watched Como either, so I don't know much about how he plays or anything like that. Victor said, thoughts on Spurs? They're fucked. Quite frankly, sorry to put it so bluntly, but, again, today they didn't really offer anything, did they? And I know De Zerbi's only in there just through the door, and it's very unfair to expect him to turn it round, but I did expect better from Spurs today. Sunderland won the game, and I think deservedly won the game. So they're in trouble. They're genuinely in the relegation places right now, Spurs. And West Ham, we have players like Jared Bowen, and obviously they've got Crescencio Somerville, who are able to make a difference for them. You really struggle to see where Spurs are picking up points from. And I kind of half joked about Spurs getting relegated as the season went on, but they're in squeaky bum time now. Like, they really have to pick up, I think, at least 9 points to give themselves a chance. And right now, you're wondering where the feck are they getting them points from? And I'm conflicted about this as well, because do I want Spurs to be relegated? I don't really have any offence with Spurs or any issues with them. It would be the biggest relegation shock of my time watching English football anyway. Stevie boy, keeping Slot next season will change nothing. It'll be the same old boring tactics with more excuses from Slot. I agree. I don't for 1 second doubt that it's the wrong move. As I mentioned, I did just get a message just before we went live from somebody who'd been waiting to hear back on. And they said that in their eyes, he's a goner. So, like I said, a mixed bag of what I'm hearing. And what I take from this is, I don't know if anybody truly knows at this point. Like the situation with Canade, we're seeing 2 different stories emerge there. David Ornstein saying that there's an impasse and nothing has changed, whereas Fabrizio Romano said something a little bit different. Now, he didn't commit to Canade signing a new deal, but he did say this: the salary is almost agreed, the length of the contract is being discussed, so that's the point, the number of years. There are some clauses to clarify, but Canade and Liverpool are almost there in negotiations over a new contract. Again, let's wait and see for these final stages. Let's be careful until the end. But despite many reports saying that Real Madrid were back in talks to sign Canade in the summer, despite reports linking Canade and saying he wanted to go elsewhere, the club absolutely are leading the race to have Canade, and his service for next season is again Liverpool. So Romano thinks it's likely Canade stays. And look, at this point, I want him to stay because we're already looking at a load of upheaval and a lot of change. Some senior players obviously heading off, Andy Robertson, Mohamed Salah. I think if we can keep Canade, we'd be best served by doing that. You know, he might have been inconsistent this season, but we know what we get with Canade, and he knows the club. So it's a player that doesn't really need to bed in. Xhaka and Leone will be there for increased competition. So for me, yeah, that's one less headache if Liverpool can get Canade's deal boxed off. It would be a lack of ability to remember the past for FSG to re-sign Slot or resign. Do you mean re-sign or resign? I trust the club, FSG, for the most part. They've been good, and I think it would be surprising for them to want Slot next year. I hope you're right. I hope you're right, because I don't see the argument to keep him. I don't see a valid argument to keep him. The only argument I see is that he deserves another crack at it because this has been a tough season. You know, but when you're analysing the season and saying it's been a tough season, I think you have to do it and look at every reason why it's a tough season. And part of that will include, of course, the manager and his failings. Since we have a small list, rank every Liverpool manager. I don't have time to do it, Jaden. Yeah, this is not the type of thing, mate, you do on a live late night agenda. That's a video topic in itself. But, you know, of my time here, Klopp, Rafa, I didn't really see Kenny as a manager other than when he came back. So I don't really have much of experience of the Dalglish era. So for me, it would be Klopp, Rafa. After that, well, you'd have to throw Slot in somewhere because he won the Premier League title. But even allowing for that, I don't like him. I don't. And I'm actually going to use those words now. I don't like him. Not that I don't think he should. I can't take to him. Craig, we need another centre-back, right-back hybrid player because we can't rely on Gomez and Bradley. Well, I have a sneaking suspicion that Joe Gomez will be gone in the summer. You know, he was very close to going the end of last summer. There was talk in January as well. I think AC Milan are still interested in Joe. So, yeah, I don't disagree with you. I don't know who that would be, though. There was some really, really loose links to what's his face from Barcelona. Their right back, I can't remember his name. Right centre back, French defender, Jules Koundé. Yeah, Jules Koundé. But I don't really believe that, to be honest with you. Craig, the way you're talking Canada stopping is rubbish. That's no ambition. How is it no ambition? Like, I'm happy to have the conversation with you, dude, and I'm not trying to jump down your throat, but I'm thinking about it from the point of view of upheaval and change. So continuity is important, right? And we have Jeremy Xhaka coming in, who is an unknown quantity in the Prem. We have Giovanni Leone, who we only got to see a little bit of, and I think Canade stay. Remember, he's won 2 league titles here. So it's not like we're talking about some bum who can't defend. But with increased competition, I think it'll bring out the best. And I don't want to have to go out there shopping for more defenders again. So for me, if you can keep in a summer of real upheaval here where we're losing a lot of experience, I think keeping Canade is sensible. You know, I genuinely do. It's one less headache for the club to have to sort out. And you would hope that Xhaka and Leone will be the competition for him. So I don't think it's at all. One title, excuse me, my apologies. One title. Yeah, I don't think it is defeatist or 2-bit or whatever you want to call it. I think we don't want to get into another situation where we've a whole new team coming together again. So that's my take on it anyway. And also, we wouldn't have to shell out another big transfer fee. So, you know, we're looking at a right back, like you said. We have to look at that position. Left back, we need to look at that position now. Central defensive midfield, we need to look at that position. Wide player, we need to look at that position. So you're already talking about 4 or 5 signings. So yeah, I just don't think we need the upheaval of getting rid of Canade personally. But yeah, look, the numbers have to be right on it. According to David Ornstein, we're looking to sign 4 to 5 first-team players in the summer transfer window. Yeah, that's probably about right, to be fair. Like, if you look at the change that we're seeing now, Andy Robertson's off, most likely to Spurs by the looks of it. Mohamed Salah's heading off. So that's two really senior experienced players. The links with Alisson and Juventus are not going away. I can't get to the bottom of this one. I've no idea if there's credibility to them or not. But those links aren't going away. Take into the account that we've already lost Trent. We've lost the old guard of Firmino, Mane. So yeah, it's big change, and it's a huge job for the club to do. And what confuses me about it is we intentionally ignored the first year of Arna's reign, really, with regards to squad planning or squad building. And now we're trying to shoehorn it all into two summer windows. It just feels like, why are we expected to think that next season's going to be any different? You know, and look, as I said, I'm trying to be a realist about this. If you look at next season, why do we think with 4 or 5 changes again, it's going to be any differently to this inconsistent season where the team hasn't been able to gel together? You know, and I guess the reason I'm asking it is, should our mindset change as fans? So if we do bring in another 4 or 5 first teamers, that's what, 10 or 11 over the last 2 summer windows. You know, that is transitional, whichever way you look at it. So what are our expectations realistically supposed to be? Do we end up in a situation like Manchester City where this is our shit year and next year we come back a bit stronger? But I would say our churn of players is going to be greater. So that worries me because, you know, it's a big change. Now, it has to come. Players get older. This happens. But I don't think it's been managed well by the club. I think they've left themselves a lot to do. Would you rather Cole Palmer or Phil Foden at Liverpool? I wouldn't want either of them, to be honest with you. I think both are overrated. Who would I prefer? Neither. Yeah, I wouldn't want either of them at Liverpool because I genuinely don't think either of them are as good as are made out to be, especially Palmer. You know, Cole Palmer, I don't get the buzz around him. He does it in short bursts, but apparently if you wear a blue shirt and play for Chelsea and you have little short bursts of good form, you become a worldie like Eden Hazard, and I've never understood it. So will Robbo still go to Spurs if they get relegated? No. It's seemingly all on Spurs staying up if Robbo goes there. So from Andy Robertson, this is him saying that he never actually got a contract offer from the club. He said this, it means I don't need to lie to everybody about my future, so it's a weight off my shoulders. It's not like I've knocked back a contract or anything. There was no contract on the table. It was a conversation we all had. It was a conversation of, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to play, and I believe I've still got the ability to play. I think I've showed that this season. So again, they just had a conversation and obviously came to the conclusion that best for everyone if we shake hands, Robbo moves on to pastures new. But I've not really seen much written yet about what we're to expect at left back. Because I swear to God, if Costas comes back, I'm going to lose my shit. Because that would be the most defeatist thing in the world to me. You ship out somebody who isn't good enough, can't get a game at Roma, and then we're supposed to believe all of a sudden if he comes back in for the 1 year he has left on his deal, that would be okay. So the left back position is one that we now also need to look at because we know Robertson's future, and I don't know what's going to happen there. Craig Leamer Senior is so delusional. Look at his comments. I mean, I don't even have to look at them, mate. I agree with you. And I don't think Senior helps himself with some of the stuff he comes out with, but he, like, whoever came to the conclusion that he deserved a chance at Chelsea should be fired. It's a ridiculous appointment, in my opinion. It definitely is not what that Chelsea dressing room needs. They need a far stricter, a more imposing head coach to get with that group, in my opinion. Pancake Friday. You're making me starving with that name, dude. I agree. We're definitely short and left ourselves short. The one transfer window we actually got Chinese. We're starting to show up and it's not good. But I have faith we'll come out of this one. So, what are we expecting next season? Are you expecting another season of transition? And if so, is that okay? You know, because, again, our mindsets are being fucked around with here. Last summer, it was build a squad to win everything, challenge for everything. Now, all of a sudden, we're in this rebuilding phase, and honestly, I don't know what the expectation should be with so many changes. I know what we all want to happen. We want success. We want Liverpool to get back to winning ways and, challenge for major trophies. But is that realistic with such a churn of players? FSG and Slot are ruining the club. So FSG have a lot of battles on their hand at the minute. They've obviously got the season ticket price scenario where you've got those protests. You've got fans angry about the manager. And this is why I get wound up that they're absent owners. They're over in Boston. They're not really here. They don't live and breathe the club. They don't see it day to day. Yeah, look, this is a tough one because I have a love-hate relationship with FSG. Some things I think they do really well. Other things leaves me scratching my head. But how do you guys feel about the season ticket prices or the price increases? Because I'm conflicted. A big part of me wants to stand and back the supporters that deliver so much on the Kop and inside Anfield. But I can't lie, there is a big part of me that thinks it's a very reasonable increase. And that everything in our lives has increased. You wouldn't go into Tesco and start protesting about it. I know it's not a like-for-like comparison, I'm aware of that, but I don't think it's as big an issue as maybe it's been portrayed to be, or maybe, you have to boil it down to, is it a right to be able to go to watch your team every week? Is it really an extortionate price increase? I really don't know. I don't think, if you look at what other clubs have done, I think this is pretty reasonable. But then again, if you're asking me to side with my fellow fans of the club, I'm going to side with my fellow fans 9 times out of 10. I don't think this is the most egregious price increase that we've seen in football. David said, to be fair, I think they're not unreasonable. And the price increases coming out from other clubs too. Yes, Liverpool have not increased. I mean, I'll read you out the email that came from Billy Hogan, or some of the email that came from Billy Hogan. So this is what Billy Hogan said about the price increases in an email sent out to season ticket holders. So, Liverpool Football Club fully respects the right of supporters to protest, and we acknowledge those supporters who are opposed to this approach. But we would also ask one thing in the days and weeks ahead, that any protest and any debate is grounded in the facts. What is changing? Why is it changing? What that means in real terms. For the 26-27 season, the 3% increase for adult general admission will be between £1.13 and £1.42 per game. Adult general admission match-by-match tickets will rise by between £1.25 and £1.75 per match day. Using current forecasts, adult general admission matchday tickets will rise between £3 and £4.50 over the next 3 years. The most expensive general admission match ticket would be £65.50 in 2028-29. Excuse me. Adult general admission tickets would increase between £53.50 and £67.50 over the next 3 years, equating to £3.55 per game. The most expensive general admission ticket would be £971.50 for a season ticket. He went on to say, and this is the part that I think is key, we've frozen general admission season ticket prices for 8 of the last 10 seasons. Today's cheapest Kop ticket is the same price now it was 15 years ago. Now think about that. There aren't many things in life that are the same price now as it was 15 years ago. Now, I understand the other side of this as well. You have to ask, do the football club really need to put the pressure on the fans? And do they really need to up the prices in the, impactfulness of this increase is minimal if you look at the club's turnover. Goes on to say, despite cumulative inflation across the UK of around 45%, the tickets haven't gone up in 15 years for the lowest price Kop ticket. We're also operating in a league where other clubs have increased prices at a materially higher rate over the last decade. Since 2016-2017, Our competitors in the top 6 have increased ticket prices by an average of 17%, whereas we've increased our prices by 4% over the same period. No decision has been made post the 3-year approach, and will continue to meaningfully engage with the supporters board. So as you can see, like, it is a modest increase at a time where everything else in our lives has gone up, and the cost of running a match day has gone up. So, it's a tough one, because I don't think it's an egregious price increase, but also I understand where the fans are coming from as well. Separate from Salah and Andy Robertson, I could see Chiesa, Jones, Gomez, Canade, Alisson, Alexis potentially moving on in the summer. That list is a pretty balanced list of potential departures. Now, I wouldn't say all of them will go, but if you're talking about midfield, I can certainly see us losing one midfielder, whether it is McAllister or Jones. Chiesa, look, it's the right time for Chiesa to move on. And the way we're talking about FSG not sacking Arna because of the money. That's one topic that's come up quite a bit, and people say, are they not firing him because of the money? Well, that's one season of Chiesa's wages. So if they had to get rid of Chiesa last summer, that would have paid for getting rid of Arna. And again, have we really utilised them this year? A handful of occasions. It's clear the manager doesn't like him either. Red Dinosaur Mother said only one of Jones and Alexis will leave. I agree with that, but I wouldn't know which one. What do you guys think? Which one do you think would go between Jones and Alexis? Or do you think neither of them go this summer? So we asked you, do you think Slot is still going to be in charge at the start of next season? We'll let this one get up to 2,000 votes. We're at 1,700 now. So if you haven't voted, please do. By the time I pay my bills, I'll be lucky to afford a point, let alone go to the match, said Scotty. It'd be nice if they could protest about the hospitality prices, but they won't, because it doesn't affect them, said Nomad. And that to me, mate, is my biggest gripe at all of this. It's, again, this isn't an all fans being looked out for thing. It is a very specific set of fans that are being looked out for. And that kind of winds me up a little bit. Because if we're looking out for Liverpool fans, we're looking out for Liverpool fans. But if we're not, let's be honest about it and just say we're looking out for ourselves. We're looking out for the season ticket holders, because in their minds, they're the only ones that really count. And that's my problem with it. I don't see anybody giving a shit about everybody else. I don't see them caring about the fans that they love to ridicule at every opportunity. The ones coming in from different parts of the UK or from Ireland or America, Canada, Australia, or wherever, Norway. Yeah, there's never any pushback or any support of us. It's just, well, these lads can pay the stupid prices, but how dare you put my price up 150 or 125? Which makes it very difficult to stay sympathetic, because we don't count. Craig, do you think Slot missed out in top 5? He'll be in charge next season? No. 100% fired if he doesn't get top 5. But I still don't think it's good enough. I think if you took into account everything this season, good, bad and indifferent, I just don't see the logic to keep him on. So let's say this happened, right? Let's say we went through that run, we got to November, we lost that 9 and 12, and from that point on we went on a winning streak. And it looked like we were starting to get better. And even if there was some inconsistencies, if we looked like we were on the right track, I promise you, I wouldn't be sitting here moaning. I wouldn't be sitting here saying sack the manager. It's because it looks like there has been no progression this season whatsoever. That's the most damning thing for me. If you're not really pushing the team on, because remember, we've 1 win in 4 at the minute. I just don't see the argument to keep them. Is there any news on Stefan Bajcetic? Nope. Nothing new. Nope. Don't know what's going on with his contract either. He's only got 1 year to go as well. So, yeah, I don't know. What happened to the Tchouaméni rumours? I don't remember seeing the Tchouaméni rumours too much. There was Camavinga ones recently. Tchouaméni was under Jurgen Klopp before, when he was at Monaco. And I don't think Real Madrid are going to want to move on Aurelien Tchouameni, but it seems that they are willing to move on Eduardo Camavinga. And if they come knocking for Maka, that could be something they'd offer Liverpool, but I have absolutely no idea whether Liverpool would have any interest in signing Eduardo Camavinga. Craig, how confident are you for PSG on Tuesday? I'll give you my score prediction because I still believe that you'll watch the video. I still think you've got my back on that one. My score prediction for Tuesday night is I actually think this is an optimistic score prediction, but I'm gonna go 2-2. That's what you'll see in the preview. Because I can't see a way we beat them by 2 clear goals. I can't, not logically. The Anfield fear factor, is that there for PSG? They've been there, won here last year, won on penalties last year, and they played us off the park. It was far less competitive this year than it was last year. So I think even a 2-2 was probably pushing it because, if I had to pick a winner for the game individually, I'd probably still go with PSG. That 2-2 is me being optimistic. If Alisson, do you know what? For the remainder of the stream, I'm not going to give my opinion on anything unless I'm specifically asked, because I'm sure you're all fed up of hearing me rattling on about the manager and my opinions about him. So let's mix this stream up and do it a little bit differently. I'm going to go only off your comments and the stuff that's in the news, and I'm not going to push my opinions on anything because I want you to have your say. I want to know how you guys feel, because you know how I feel. So I'm going to spend a minute or two now flying through the news, and then I'm coming straight back into the chat, and we're going to get stuck into this. Whatever you want to discuss, it's your show. Please do let me know. Right, let's get going. So we'll start off today with Anthony Gordon chatter, but don't worry, it's not Liverpool related. So Bayern Munich, according to Caught Offside, have expressed an interest in Anthony Gordon, who's also being monitored by Arsenal. Bayern settle front 3 means the move is fairly unlikely, but they are looking. Next up, there was a report that said Wolves midfielder Joe Gomez wants to move to Liverpool this summer and prefers a move to Anfield over Chelsea and Manchester United, who are also interested. The 25-year-old is valued at 60 million, but Wolves may have to accept less due to relegation. Now, my question on that one would be, are we only looking at him because he could be a bit cheaper at relegation, or is he somebody would have tried to move for anyway if Wolves stayed up? Because the reason I ask that is we're looking at which side of FSG is this. Is it the bargain opportunistic signing or a long-term target that just happens to be playing for a relegation side? Then we have Virgil van Dijk on the fans protesting about ticket prices. He said, I think the fans are the heart and soul of the club. If they feel like this, then protest is their fair right. Hopefully they come to a solution with the club. These things are far above my position as captain of the club, but my opinion is that our fans are the club. They always have been before my time. It's important that these things get solved because it benefits nobody. And that I do agree with. This from Anfield Watch, they said it looks like Bazumana Toure is one who Liverpool want to bring in. Hoffenheim are reportedly willing to let him go for about 40 million euro, and that makes him an absolute bargain. The type of fee would be very happy for Liverpool to pay, and it said, but what makes it more likely is he's heading to Anfield, is that's according to Sport Build, a move to England is considered likely. Then there was a piece that was, I think, also from Caught Offside, that said, Eli Jr. Krupi to Liverpool or Chelsea. After doing a bit of digging, they say after yesterday's game, I was not too surprised to find growing interest in Krupi, who's long been on the radar of top clubs, but who's likely to be a priority target. Liverpool and Chelsea have a very concrete interest. They're both really keen to make a deal happen this summer and are looking into it. I wouldn't be surprised if Liverpool have already had some conversations, another source said. Richard Hughes has a good relationship with his former club and will be on the phone to his counterparts after that performance yesterday. Then we have the Real Madrid story, which I fucking hate this club. I hate them with a passion. Now Real Madrid, believe this season's La Liga title, this season's La Liga title has been rigged. That's the accusation now, due to what Madrid believe are clear and deliberate refereeing bias against the club. As a result, Real Madrid have decided to permanently boycott the Spanish Football Federation. I mean, I don't know what to say. Just, they bang on about class and integrity and respect. Don't show up to the Ballon d'Or. Moaning about referees non-stop. I mean, I just don't get it. Just maybe you're not very good this year. Maybe, don't fire managers every fucking 5 minutes. Don't let the players run riot. Grizzly, thank you, bro, for gifting those 10 memberships. Really appreciate that. The stat guy said, DIOMANDE is the only realistic replacement for Mohamed Salah at Liverpool. He drives in straight lines, attacks space behind defences, creates something from nothing when patterns don't exist anywhere else. Then we have Polymarket Sports saying Arsenal's updated trophy odds. Obviously EFL Cup and FA Cup 0. Champions League 26% and 56% for the Premier League, down from 91%. And then we talked about Romano and Canade saying there are still some clauses to clarify, but Canade and Liverpool are almost there in negotiations over a new contract. So that's where I'm at with all the news. Nessie said, I still can't believe Spurs might actually go down. Craig, we appreciate your hard work, and Connors. Thank you, Billy. This last few months, mate, have been the most difficult of my time on here because of the anger and frustration that we all naturally feel. It's so tough. Even coming on tonight, I know what I'm walking into, and I know what that stream title is going to do to people's psyche. But I can't lie. I can only tell you what I'm hearing and seeing, and this is so tough. Like, I don't want to watch Liverpool these days. I feel like I'm doing it out of a sense of duty that things will get better. But I'm not enjoying watching Liverpool like I have done for the past 7 or 8 years. Right, so we've got 2,000 votes now, and 60% of you guys think that no, he will not be in charge next season, and 40% think he will. How far away is the studio? Like I said, I would say the summer at this point, because we're at the very, very last bit, and I'm just waiting for a couple of little bits to be done. And yeah, I think the way the season's come to an end now, I might as well wait till the summer and then move in the summer and do it for next season. Kind of makes more sense to me than trying to shoehorn it in at the end of the season. But just a handful of things, Paul. It's so close. Paddy John O'Boyle, thank you, man. Look, I hate seeing everyone so frustrated. It really gets me down because you guys mean so much to me, and your opinions mean a lot to me. And I've said this so many times, but when we're all happy, my life's brilliant. When we're not, I struggle. I struggle because this is going to sound real cheesy. I can't make it better. I can't. I'd like to come on and be lighthearted or make you smile or do something, but right now I feel like banging my head against the wall because I can't do anything to stop the frustration we're all feeling and the uncertainty over what to expect. What do you think, Craig? Will he be in charge next season? My gut says no. It does. My gut says no, because let's remember what we were told about the people who make the decisions. That they're going to look at the facts, that they remove emotion from decision making. And if all of these things are true, and Hughes and Edwards really are people who use facts, figures, and evidence, I just don't see how you could come to the conclusion, based off what you've seen this year, that he deserves another chance. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I don't see anything pointing towards this being a blip or it being salvageable for him. I really, really, really don't. And that's the honest answer. That's not my own dislike. That's me removing emotion. I struggle to see any reason to keep him. Speaking of summer, any World Cup watch-alongs? Um, yeah, I'd say so, mate. In all honesty, um, I'm going to be watching the games anyway. So yeah, probably we'll try to find a little Liverpool twist to it. Maybe just countries that Liverpool players are playing for or something like that. But I'll avoid the likes of the England games and stuff because they'll be well covered by Goldbridge and lots of other people. So I might just do it with a Liverpool twist. If Arnett's still at the football club next season, will you do a different agenda nightly next season? I don't know if I'll be here next season if he's here. I've been honest about this for a few weeks. Um, that's probably what also has me a bit nervous about it, to be honest with you, mate, because I've struggled mentally this season with the impact of Arna's reign. So if he's here next season, I'm not going to say I won't be here, but I don't know if I can put myself through it. So the channel will be here, but whether I'm here as often or not next year, I don't know. I don't know how I'll feel because I have to wait and see how the summer goes. I have to wait and see what the reasoning is if they keep him. But I do know if we start and we go through a similar vein of what we're going through now, I can't put myself through that again mentally. I just can't. It's hit too much, it's hit too deep this year. Craig, is this the worst Brazil side on paper in your lifetime? It's right up there as the worst. I mean, there was one Brazilian era that wasn't great. I think if I'm going back, maybe I'm working off memory, maybe early noughties. But this Brazilian team right now, yeah, there's no hope of them winning a World Cup. They're just so far off it. Um, yeah, it's shit. It really is a poor Brazilian team. Cal said, "Hope you guys are well. A call to all fans to make Anfield a cold run on Tuesday night. It's been a hard season, so let's enjoy it and do our bit again." I think they will, mate. But it's up to the players. The fans have to work and feed off what happens on the pitch. So the players have to go out there with the right attitude. And if we do have a setback, they can't fold. They have to keep playing. Craig, what's your plans after the season? If you do stream for the World Cup or take a break? No, no, no. I don't take breaks. As in, we don't take months off or anything like that. The channel operates all year round. So yeah, we'll be here through the World Cup and all the transfer windows and stuff like that. But I don't know when the next season starts with Arnott in charge if I'll be able to be doing the watch alongs and stuff like that because this season's it's hit me like a ton of bricks. Happy for you to take Eddie Howe off our hands. Yeah, I don't know what happens there, Medusa Cascade with Eddie Howe. He's been given the backing of the Newcastle board from what I can see. They were beaten today, if I'm not mistaken, 2-1 by Crystal Palace with a Mateta brace. It feels like that Newcastle project is unraveling a little bit, and I wonder if the Saudis are going to stay as invested in that project or whether they'll look to sell it on again. Mulder, you said I missed your super chat. Is this the one I just answered about the World Cup watch-alongs? And it was 4 minutes ago. So can you give me a little bit of time to interact with people before you say I missed your super chat? I'm almost certain I read it out, mate. Are you concerned with Gravenberch? He's been poor. Yes and no. Yes and no. I'm concerned if he stays in the six because I think he's been found out this season. But I do rate him as a midfielder. I've no problem. I'm actually relieved he signed a new deal. So you said you didn't hear it. All good. I said yes, mate. We would probably be doing some World Cup stuff over the summer, Muldor. Just don't know exactly what yet. So on Gravenberch, I'm glad he's staying because I do think there's a lot more to come from Ryan Gravenberch. But I don't think he has the stomach for the dirty stuff. I don't think he's got the shithouse in him. And that's okay. He's a really good footballer, very press resistant, very good at breaking lines, and he does a lot good. But I think last season was the exception for him as the deeper line midfielder rather than, I think, the plan for going forward. We need somebody a bit more snidey, a bit more with a bit more bite in there. I think he's he's too easy to play through. Craig, what's your thoughts on our back four? Even if Canada extends, do you think we have enough options? I think if go actually sorry, let me finish reading your comment before I answer. We need backup for now. Kirkes, our two right backs are injury prone and VVD will be 35. So right back position, it feels mad to say we need to do something there because we have two good right backs, but you're right about the injuries. That can't be ignored. And if we do ignore it, we're willfully leaving ourselves short. So I don't know what to expect with Conor Bradley's situation, but I do think Liverpool might look to another centre-back who can also play right back, because I think Gomez moves on. So to tie all that together, I think Gomez goes and we bring in another utility player who can play right back and right centre-back. Left back, we need a left back now. That's clear. We have Milos Kerkez and that's great, but we need another left back and big shoes to fill because Andy Robertson's experience and his mentality is huge. So I had hoped we'd get another year with Andy Robertson before we had to make this change, but I'll lose my shit if they bring back Costas. That would just be a real, again, we've no ambition for me if they do that. You can't get rid of someone to say, he's not getting into the team and then all of a sudden bring him back when he's had a bit of a mare season with Roma. If you can't break into the Roma team, I'm not having it that you're going to be good enough to break into our team if we get an injury at left back or to, do the job properly. Ian said, I'm hoping for an early birthday present since my birthday is in August. That slot is sacked and Alonso comes in. I hope you get that early birthday present as well. I think the biggest clue we might get in all of this is if Alonso moves elsewhere. Because if Alonso, let's say, starts conversations with, it doesn't really matter who, just any club, that might give us an indication that, okay, Liverpool are looking likely to keep him. The other name definitely worth keeping an eye on is Andoni Iraola. That's another name that's been coming up in conversations when I've been chatting with people. But I would have concerns there as well. Costas is a good squad player. If he's that good of a squad player, why didn't we keep him? He was our player. So he's not good enough. Let's be honest about it. He isn't. There's nothing against the lad. He seems like an absolutely lovely fella. I know a couple of people that have bumped into him and said he sound as a pound. But, he's not good enough. And it's okay to say that, We have to be honest about it. If Kirkes was out for 3 months with an injury, I don't for 1 second think that having Costas there would be good enough. Wayne, how are you, my man? Bring back the FIFA streams in the summer. There's no reason not to sack Slot for me. FSG's number one target is available right now. If FSG had all the faith in Slot, where's his new contract? WFM. So let me ask this one then. We asked, do you think Arnold will still be here or not? Okay, so do you think Alonso is the number one target if Slot goes? Because this much... Sorry, I've just got to fix my stupid typing here. I'm not certain if he is or not. I don't know. So yeah, I want to ask what you guys think on that one. Sorry, just to read out the poll question to you. Do you think Alonso is the number one target if Slot goes? I'm not 100% certain. I'm a bit less certain than I was 2 or 3 weeks ago. I think he's definitely of interest. But do the club still look at it and think, well, do we need to go to a back three? Is that a good fit? Is there going to be a lot of upheaval there? Like I've said, for me, genuinely, with the personnel we brought in last summer, I think we've made it less daunting to look at a back three going forward. You can see all the reasons why Alonso would be a good fit. The relationship with the fans, his caliber as a player and as a manager. I just don't know. I really don't know on this one. Iriola's name has come up quite a bit, like I've said. Yeah, I'm unsure, which is why I asked the question. I hope he is, but like I said, different names have been bandied around. Iriola's been one of them. Nagelsmann, according to reports in Germany, looks like he wants to stay there after the World Cup. So if it isn't Alonso, who else could it be if Slot goes? Can Liverpool challenge Man City next year? I think it's an impossible question to answer now, because there's so much we don't know about next season. We don't know about the recruitment. And when we think about these things, we often just think about it through Liverpool eyes, but Man City aren't going to stand still. So they're going to build on the squad that they have now. Same as Arsenal, same as United, same as everybody else. So it's a difficult one to really know. Can we play catch up with them? They went out in January and signed 2 Premier League proven players. And as was said earlier on in the chat, are potentially challenging for a treble now. They've won the League Cup. They're in the FA Cup semis. And you can argue now the league is back in their own hands to some extent. If they beat Arsenal next week, win their game in hand, you're talking goal difference then at that point. And I know which one of the 2 teams I'm backing to put the ball in the net more if it's between Arsenal and Man City. So, yeah. I don't think we'll challenge under Arne if he's here. A new manager in, maybe. But if Arne's here, no. I don't think we challenge. Because I think we're destined for another stop-start season with so many changes again. And that's why I said, why are we to believe next season will be any different to this season, where the argument of too many changes has come up? Like, look at the excuses that have been briefed by the club as to the reasons why this season wasn't a success. They've talked about injuries, they've talked about too many changes and new personnel coming in. Well, why would next summer be any different then? Because we're still going to have a churn of 5 or 6 new players. They're still going to need time to bed in. So when does that excuse stop? Because if you're in that rebuilding phase, you can trot that excuse out to justify any failure. So that's why I don't like it, because I don't think it is justifiable. And I think the club need to look squarely at themselves here. This isn't down to Arne. This isn't down to fans. This is down to Liverpool fucking up their squad management and their squad planning. Allowing contracts to run down, taking their eye off the ball when Klopp and Schmadtke were in. And they just allowed this situation to get to the point where we now need wholesale changes. 2 huge transfer windows with 5-6 in, 5-6 out. That's not clever. Continuity is important in football. Do you think when we get ahead in a game, they're coached to keep it light instead of going forward again? We don't look to kill off when we're on top. It's hard to know, Paul, whether... Yeah. No, I'm going to say yes. We're coached for that. Because it happens too often for it not to be the case. Like when we went in a half-time against Fulham yesterday, I fully expected us to come out in the second half and get the third. And just kill the game off completely and then make changes or whatever. But I don't ever see that from us. We do tend to take what we have and then drop 15 yards deeper. Sometimes that's a natural occurrence in a game when one team's pushing, but even if you look at the substitutions that he makes, a lot of the time there are substitutions that are just resting players' legs rather than substitutions that are looking to push us on again. So I do think it's under instruction, yeah. Can you please go through the first team squad and say if you would keep or sell? I'll try. I'll try to remember. So let's try it then. Alisson, I would keep, but I'm worried about whether he goes or not. So let's say I'd keep Alisson, I'd keep Georgie, I'd keep Frimpong, I'd sell Bradley, and I say that with a really heavy heart as a Conor Bradley fan. And I think I've proved my support of Bradley there when we invested in that painting as well. So I would sell Bradley because I truly I'm concerned by the injuries, and we can't have another season where we're shoehorning people into right back. So I'd sell him. I'd sell Ramsey. Centre backs, I'd sell Gomez. I'd renew Canade. I'd give Virgil the next season, see how he gets on. We've got Jacquet, we've got Leone. Left back, well, I don't think we need to do what in there, do we? We've already announced that Robertson's gone, so we need to bring somebody in. Midfield, Gravenberch keep, Soboslai keep, McAllister sell, Jones sell, Bajcetic sell, Leone keep. Who else we got in midfield? Wirtz obviously keep. Am I missing anybody else in midfield there? Endo let go. I don't think I've missed anybody else in midfield, have I? So I think we've gone through midfield. Chiesa go. Gakpo, I think you have to keep him for continuity. I think you have to. You know, you can't. If you got the right offer, I'd sell him. But I don't expect him to go because, as I said, there was a report a few months back that said the club will expect one of Gakpo and Salah to go in the summer, and both probably is off the question or off the table. So I think Gakpo stays, but I would sell if the right offer came in. Rio stays, Ekatike stays, Isak stays. And then you've got players who are out on loan that we need to figure out, you know. And then Jayden Danns, I don't know what happens with him. Will Wright, I don't know what happens with him. I don't know how close they are to getting towards real first team action. Harvey Elliott, I'd keep, personally. You know, if it was a different manager, I'd keep him. If it's Slot, if I'm Elliott, I don't stay. But if Alonso came in, I think he'd get more out of Elliott. And I think Elliott would be given a chance to get back into the mix. I don't think I've missed anybody else, have I? I didn't forget Szoboszlai. I said keep Szoboszlai. I think that's all of them. Apologies if I've missed anybody there, but I think I've gone through most of them. Joshua, how are you? Joshua Hookaway said, "Hi Craig, who'll be vice captain next season with Robbo going in the summer? I don't think he'll go to Spurs if they go down to the Championship. Love your channel and hope family are good." Thank you for the channel, man. I hope your family are good as well. Szoboszlai. I think Szoboszlai. You know, he feels like a natural leader in that dressing room of the next era. So yeah, Szoboszlai for me. I don't see Gravenberch as a leader. If Canade signs a new contract, you'd probably see him get into that leadership group as well. World of Naturalist, how are you, my friend? Said such a loser mentality if the club keeps Slot next season. He may be a good coach, but he's not suitable for our club. Can't take another season with Slot. Would you agree with this statement? That Slot is a decent coach, but the Premier League just doesn't suit him. Because that's kind of where my head's at. I do think he's got a lot going on upstairs as a coach. But I just think there are so many intricacies of English football, particularly the inability to be able to half-arse it through games, like maybe you can do in the Eredivisie or in another league. You have to be switched on and it's 100% effort in the Prem. It is a very unique league in that regard. So I think he maybe would be better in La Liga or Bundesliga or somewhere else. Because I really don't think Slot's a bad coach. I just don't think he has enough of the characteristics to really lead this club. I think he's too much of a yes man as well. Again, might be just my own like or dislike, but I like a maverick. I like somebody who's outspoken. And I don't like, he very much feels like he knows his place in the setup and doesn't want to rock the boat. And I don't like that. I like a bit of a snidiness. I like a bit of a snarl. Like you knew with Kloppo, he could make you smile and you love him to bits, but you knew like that. Like I wouldn't want to dressing down from Jurgen. I'd imagine that's fucking terrifying. You know, so when he speaks up in a dressing room, you know that has an impact. And I don't think Slot has that dog in him. And I don't think he's ever fully committed to the club. You're not living in the city. You're going on a little break every opportunity you get. I just don't think he's bought into the Liverpool project in the way I would like a manager to buy in the city, being in and around the people, living, breathing it. He just feels... I've even talked to people who... I have to be careful with my words here because I don't want to get them in trouble. I've talked to people who work at the club, and even in post-match things in and around the suites and that, he doesn't really seem to be getting involved there or heading in as much. He's very aloof, and you might say that's the right thing. A head coach needs to be a bit outside the players group, but for me, I just don't get the buy. I just don't feel he's bought into it. I don't think he gets the city. Low-key wingers are go big again, Minta or Elise. I want Yan DIOMANDE. 100%, he's the one that I want. Elise is the dream, the absolute dream. But I'm trying to be realistic in that, And also, why would he leave Bayern Munich right now? That Bayern Munich team is pretty damn good. So yeah, Elise. Minta is the one I'm not sure of, because hand on heart, I haven't watched much of him. There's been links, of course, because he worked with Klopp at Feyenoord, if my memory's right. I don't know about Minta. It just wouldn't excite me. But then again, if I'm being really honest, I don't think Salah excited me when we signed him either. But, I don't think anybody expected Salah to be what he is and has been. So I don't know if I'm just underrating Minta or if my natural instinct to say he isn't good enough is right. Slot lives in Manchester. Yes, he does. Which, again, I don't even understand. You're managing Liverpool Football Club. Why not live in an apartment in the city centre? Or a house on the outskirts? I don't know. I just don't get it. It just doesn't feel like he's really bought in to me. Philip said, I agree with everything that you've said, Craig. What happened about Slot being a tactical genius as he was hailed last season is clueless. Phil McCracken, probably the biggest crank phone call name. Stargirl said it, and I keep bringing it up. Stargirl said it. I was either Stargirl or Nessie. I'm not remember which one of the ladies said it, but someone said it in the chat earlier on in the season. Something like yourself there, Phil. What happened to those similarities? What happened to the manager that was supposed to build on and carry on the 4-3-3 that we've seen under Jurgen? The intensity's gone, and I can't shake that. Once Stargirl or Nessie said that, I can't get it out of my head because it makes so much sense. And how are they continuously making excuses when he hasn't been what they promised? And I think that is fair to say. He hasn't been Jurgen with his own little stamp on it. He's so far away from the brand of football that it's frightening. And what makes it even more egregious to me is this was supposed to be the year he put a stamp on the team. Last year was a transitional season between coaches. Didn't want to rip up the playbook. So he went in, done his own thing, but ultimately kept us the way we were to some extent, albeit maybe a bit less aggressive. And then this year, fuck knows what he's trying to do, because I still can't figure that out. Arne Slots lives near the outskirts of Manchester. I think, Rachel, if I'm not mistaken, he lives near the airport. If I'm not mistaken. Of Manchester, I mean. Minta is a workhorse, said everyone's football. Elliot said, not sure about Minta in terms of end product. Did you see all the staff reaction when Klopp turned up for the Legends game? It almost feels like that was an own goal from the club, doesn't it? Bringing Klopp back for that one. It's the right thing to do from so many senses. He's a patron of the foundation and many, many, many reasons why it was the right thing. But if you're looking to get the fans to stay behind Arne, reminding us of what we used to have and the personality that we used to have and the leadership that we used to have, I think that maybe backfired on the club a little bit, because I don't know anybody that didn't get shivers down their spine seeing Klopp back in Liverpool gear and seeing him standing on the side of the pitch. It was it was a real walk down memory lane, and again, an even bigger underlining of the differences between himself and Arna. Paul said, should have got fully behind Salah. I think the flip-flop fans are the ones putting the team off. What do you mean by that, Paul? I'm not having a go. I'm trying to understand your point, mate. Flip-flop fans, like, let's look at the role of a fan. It isn't to blindly support, right? And I've said this so often, Paul. A big difference for me between English football and German football is German football atmosphere in the main seems to be about repetitive droning music and noise. Whereas English football, and particularly Liverpool, it's a living, breathing thing. And it reacts to what they see on the pitch. So I don't think it's flip-flop fans. I think it's fans just not liking what they're looking at. And if we get to a point where we're all supposed to be just happy clappers who support everything without criticism, that's not really healthy. So I'm not having a pop, dude. I'm genuinely trying to figure out what you mean by the flip-flop fans, because I think fans are just confused as to what the hell is going on. Yeah, like, obviously, team wins league, fans happy. Not too hard to figure out. Team spends 450 million quid and goes backwards. I think it's fair the fans go, what happened here then? No offense, but comparing managers ain't a good thing. I don't know what have I compared? Why is it not a good thing as well? Of course it's a good thing to compare managers. Like, you had 9 years of this all-encompassing legend of a man who was as emotionally and physically invested in the game as all of us. Is it not fair to say now we have this other dude and I can't get behind him? I mean, there's no rule book to being a fan, mate. Everything's on the table, you know. We can all have our say in our own viewpoints, but why can't we compare managers? It is our football club at the end of the day, and these are the men that lead the football club. So I think it's very fair to say this manager was good doing this manager not so good doing this, but this manager has these pluses and this manager doesn't. I mean, that's perfectly normal. Why didn't they invite Alonso to the Legends game? No idea. Haven't got a clue. It's an interesting question, actually, but I haven't got a clue. I don't think these players want to play for the fans rather than the manager. I think that's respectfully silly, Paul. You know, it's not the fans' fault the players are shit this year, mate. I find it absolutely ludicrous to try and blame the fans on anything. The fans have been incredibly supportive of this team over the years. I mean, yeah, I just don't think that's right, mate. I don't think there's any credence to what you've said. The players need to get their finger out of their arses and play better. You know, fans aren't just going to back shite. Like I said, it's a living, breathing thing, supporting a team and watching a game of football. You don't want to go in and just see everybody clapping and going, yay, for 90 minutes of dross. You want it to be quiet, and then when something happens, bang, atmosphere, intimidation, frustration. You know, quite frankly, the players need to get their finger out, mate, and earn the fans' trust back. Because fans pay their money to go and watch. Footballers, whether we lose 3 in a row or not, they're getting paid hundreds of thousands of pounds a week. And I think, and I've said this for years, I think too many of these modern footballers are so used to having people tell them how great they are. And I don't think they're able to take criticism. Virgil really annoyed me when he kept talking about blocking out the outside noise. No, listen to it. Because these people have your best interests at heart. And these people are being critical for a reason. Same way they get behind you and show you why they're the best supporters in the world. So I think sometimes players get so used to being told, yes, 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 you're great, you're brilliant, God, I love you, that when the chips are down, they don't know what to do. And that comes from being told yes their whole fucking life. Like, we all know some kid that was spoiled growing up. You know, that mommy and daddy will do everything for. And they're the very first ones to fall apart when anything goes wrong. Because they've not had the hardship. What we learned under Jurgen was the pain of losing. And Jurgen was a master of fostering that and going, remember this feel. Like, imagine sitting in the Champions League final after losing to Madrid. I'd almost bet my life Jurgen walked around that dressing room saying, see how you're feeling now? Remember it. Remember this when you go home. Remember this when you're training. Remember how shitty you feel now. How hurt you feel now. And vow never to feel that again. That the next time you get this opportunity, make sure it counts. So that's my take on it all, mate. David, lovely as always, sir. How are you, mate? Lovely to see you in. Appreciate you. Brian, how are we, my man? Always a pleasure. Regarding ticket price increases, I agree it seems reasonable. However, my issue is the timing to do it when the fan base is frustrated by the poor season with a disconnect, underachieving manager is tone deaf. Good point. And on that, Brian, I've always said I think it's divide and conquer. I really do. I think it's almost a distraction tactic to cause an issue over here while fuck all is happening over here. So I've said this before. I think, and it isn't the first time, Liverpool Football Club do often try to divide the fans and divide opinion. Because when we're all arguing with each other, our energies aren't being spent looking at the faults or the frailties of the squad and the owners. Robbo wanting Spurs is a bad look for Slot, in my opinion. There's a lot of stuff that I think we're going to find out about in the longer term. Like, I'm really interested to see what Mohamed Salah has to say over the summer. When he's at the World Cup, when he makes the decision of where he's going to play next, I would say there's going to be some scathing assessments of what was going on in the dressing room. Attila said, Stiller doesn't have the legs to play DM in the Prem. He's a playmaker, good passer, good technique, good shot, but we need a dog that breaks up attacks. Anderson will be perfect. I agree on Anderson. Unfortunately, I really, really believe he's on his way to Man City. And that worries me again, because not only then have they got another English homegrown player, which, you know, counts for a lot. They'll have brought Premier League proven again, like they did with Gay, like they did with Semenyo. And it concerns me because, again, we're playing catch-up already, and that's pushing them out even further. Joseph said, as much as I think the players should be better, I slightly disagree, Craig. What makes Anfield far from the best atmosphere for me is that when you look at others, they chant throughout the full 90. But I don't think, again, thank you for your opinion, Joseph. I don't think chanting throughout a full 90 minutes is atmosphere. I don't. And I might be in the minority on this. For me, an atmosphere is when Robbo makes a tackle, or when Arteta's acting the asshole on the sideline. Instances that really provoke emotional reactions from the crowd. That's atmosphere to me. You know, singing songs and stuff is great, but what really gets behind the players and gets them up is that roar, that visceral, physical reaction to what's happening on the pitch. You know, I watch German football and I just hear this droning drums and bullshit. That's not atmosphere. That's nonsense. Atmosphere is reacting to what's happening in front of you. You know, remember Robbo chasing Messi the length of the pitch, you know, or Conor Bradley lifting Mbappe out of it. That's atmosphere. That's what makes Anfield different, is that fucking fear factor that comes with that 60,000 people all baying for blood, basically. So for me, yeah, it depends what you class as atmosphere. If you think it's singing and, you know, banging drums, fair enough. I don't. I think it's almost like, you know, when you hear a groan inside a football ground when things aren't gone right, like multiply that in the other direction by 1,000, and that's atmosphere to me. And I think that atmosphere only comes for full 90 minutes in very rare circumstances. I was thinking to myself the other night, I don't see a chance Slot leaves at this point if he gets to Champions League. I don't know, mate. You know, I've heard mixed things today. Like I said at the very start of the stream, some people I spoke to feel like there's no way he's going to be here. And others think if he gets top 5, which, let's be fair, we're looking very strongly possible that's going to happen. Some people think, yeah, he'll be still here, at least till the start of next season. And I'm a bit of an ostrich on this one. I'm kind of burying my head in the sand, hoping that he isn't. Lily Lewis, since 2741, said, "Hi Craig, I'm conflicted between selling Jones because he ain't good enough, but also really benefits the team to show the players and fans what they expect of them. For me, feels like proper heart of the team." Totally understand that, Lily. Totally get it. Even when I was saying it, mate, earlier on, when people were asking me to go through and pick who I'd sell, that was the tough part of saying yes to selling Jones, because that Everton game showed why you need that Scouse heartbeat there. And I've no problem with Curtis Jones staying, but I don't ever see a season where Curtis Jones is in the best 11. And maybe I'm wrong on how I look at that. You know, maybe having some decent squad players is enough, but do we think Curtis Jones coming off a bench is going to change a game for Liverpool? I don't. I think at best you'll get a continuation of what's already been there. And I still think he just takes too much out of the ball. And I still don't even know what his best position is, you know, on the pitch. I'd probably edge to the left side of midfield, but yeah. But I totally understand the conflicting feelings, because it is important that you have some local skin in the game. World of Naturalist said, Slot getting us Champions League next season is a mere minimum. He doesn't deserve to stay because of that. It's trying to change the narrative of what the targets were. Oh, I could not agree more, Lynn. I couldn't agree more. It's beta behaviour. I don't know how else to put it. But they aren't the cold, hard decision-making facts that we were led to believe is going to be in place. And it wasn't scrape Champions League football. It was win the fucking thing. That's the aims. You know, and he intentionally threw away the League Cup. We were embarrassed in the FA Cup quarter-final. We've won 1 game in 4. He's lost 16 games over the course of the season, which could very easily rise up towards 18, 19 by the time the season's over. And I don't know how we can look with a straight face and say a manager that loses upwards of 16 games in a season deserves to stay. It's a joke if he stays. It just shows that they either are deluded or they have fuck all ambition. But they will be proved wrong on it if they keep him. I've no doubt in my mind about that. But we're going to have to suffer more because of that. Do you think we do better with cheaper signings? I think you need a mix of both. You know, I'd be a liar if I said some of my favourite signings weren't cheap, like Andy Robertson. Mohamed Salah at, what was it, 36, 38 million? That looks like an absolute bargain now. So yeah, sometimes if you can unearth a gem, you know, we all love a gem. But I think you need a mixture. You need those undervalued assets. You need those players who maybe come in with a point to prove and feel like they haven't gotten the breaks in their career that they wanted and they want to come in and prove themselves. Like Andy Robertson. Everything about that transfer, when you look back on it now and how it unfolded and his career at Liverpool, it was just genius. If you could bottle the attitude of Andy Robertson and put it through every player in the team, my God, it would be incredible. VVD blocking out sound. Fans pay wages. We fill the stadium every game. Not putting banners to cover empty seats like City. Think before you speak. I never got it. Now, he didn't specifically say it about fans, Paul. I got to be really clear about that. But he did say we're blocking out the outside noise. So that could be fans, could be pundits, could be media. But ultimately, to me, I understand why he'd say it. But I hope he does at least acknowledge that it hasn't been good enough. Because I'm a bit fed up of hearing about standards that nobody's maintaining. And how they're so easily thrown to the wayside. Because there's been too much talking this year. And Virgil is in a difficult situation a lot of the time, granted. But sometimes you need to hear some hard truths. And you need to acknowledge that it hasn't been good enough. And you need to think, well, these people have a point. You know, I just think so many modern footballers are too soft and their egos are too fragile. Because they've spent their entire fucking lives having people tell them how great they are. And when they get a bit of frustration from fans or other people. They don't want to take it on board. Yeah, that's how I feel about it. And I've said this for years. I think even managers now aren't able to do enough, in my opinion, from what they would have been able to do 10, 15 years ago with regards to getting stuck into people and leaving them with no doubts about what's expected of them. Mane and Bobby became great bargains. Absolutely. Yep. I mean, you can look back to that whole Klopp era. And they were all... I know that Bobby was brought in before Kloppo came in, but I think they knew Kloppo was coming in at that point. Yeah, we've been really good at that, to be fair. And that's where Edwards really earned his bread and butter. You know, coming in and finding those underpolished gems. Last summer was a real step away from what we've been used to at Liverpool. You know, we don't go out there and break British transfer records twice in one window, at least in my lifetime. I know we've done it, you know, back in the 70s and 80s, but for me as a Liverpool fan, I got, you know, Van Dijk and Alisson would have been wow signings for me with regards to money. But to see us drop 125 million on Isak and 115 million or so on Wirtz, that's very far removed from what I normally expect in a transfer window from us. And I think the fear we all have is, do the club think that they've spent that money on these big players and they aren't really delivering? You know, is there something in that decision-making process that maybe they think they need to tweak? Keane said social media can give players big heads when they play well and feel absolutely awful when they don't understand senior players always saying stay off it. Oh, that I agree with. I think footballers should absolutely stay off social media if they've any frailties about getting criticism. No, that's not fair. Abuse, because there's too much abuse as well. And they shouldn't have to put up with that. You know, when I talk about fans criticising, I mean genuinely criticising the performance, not going after their character or their family or who they are as people. But they should be able to be told, sorry, that performance wasn't good enough. What do you think of us getting Milner back? I don't... In what role? You're not as a player, surely, but he'd be welcome into any club as a coach. You know, he's a thoroughly lovable, likeable fella who, you know, just oozes professionalism. So, our poll's still running. We have just over 1,100 votes. We asked, do you think Alonso is the number one target if Arne Slot does go? Joseph, and this, sir, I agree with you on. He said, you think FSG would have been even more annoyed at Slot given his failure this season and the ridiculous backing he got in the summer? So, yeah, you're right, Joseph. I agree with you on that. And it kind of has me thinking, is that why they don't want to change? Because they've already invested so much in this guy and they don't want to tear it up after 1 year of spending that big money? Who's that? Sabrina? Sorry, someone coming in my door. Sabrina? Can you turn off the heat? Yeah, I wonder, is that the case that they're at? You know, they've invested so much into this guy. Like, there's one question that I've been asking myself that I really don't know the answer to. But let me ask it as the next poll question, actually. So let me just end this one. 80% think he's going to be the next manager if Slot leaves, and 20% don't. But I want to ask you this question. Okay. So something that I've been asking myself in the past month is, do you think FSG are annoyed at Hughes and Edwards for how this season has gone? So let me know your thoughts on that one. Last poll of the night. Do you think FSG are annoyed with Hughes and Edwards for how this season's gone? Don't you say please, bro. I mean, to turn off the heat. No, Jesus Christ, fuck off. Sorry. Yeah, I probably should have said please, but, you know, to be that pedantic about it, you can do one. Excuse me. David said, "Hi Craig, do you trust FSG to replace all the departing players with quality?" I don't think it's really down to FSG to do that. I think it's Hughes and Edwards' department to do that, and FSG will sign the checks. So I guess the question is really, do we trust Hughes and Edwards more than we trust FSG? So, in that look, it's hard to not trust Michael Edwards in one way because of the track record he's had of unearthing really good, talented players who are probably undervalued and have developed into the group that we had such success with over that 9-year period with Jurgen. But like I said, it's such a step away from the norm the last window that it's really difficult to get a read on the whole thing. Not sure that FSG doesn't have a clue about what's going on. I don't know. It's really difficult to get a read on the situation when they're not around very much, and certainly there's no communication from the owners towards the fans until it's time for ticket price increases and stuff like that. Wasn't happy how he left Coutinho for 8 million. Wasn't happy with how he left Coutinho for 8 million. I don't know what do you mean by that, David? We signed Coutinho for 8 million from Inter Milan. That was an incredible signing, actually. I still can't believe. One thing Edwards has been absolutely amazing on is recouping money for players. If you look at some of the business and some of the deals we've gotten for players who, you know, some of them didn't really do much at Liverpool, and then others like Coutinho, we got an incredible amount of money for. Ashley, how are you, Ashley? Said, how can they even consider keeping Slot? So they chose him over the fans. That's just mental. Does that prove these owners don't care about fans? Look, I think anybody who thinks owners care about fans are very much mistaken. And what do I mean by that? I think it's a pretty well acknowledged principle that most Premier League club owners would do away with season tickets tomorrow, because they'll make a lot more money selling games individually and selling to fans that historically have spent more money on each visit and each trip. So I think sometimes I put myself in FSG shoes and say, what would I do with these ticket protests if I was in FSG shoes? And honestly, I probably wouldn't budge. I probably think this is reasonable. You don't have a divine right for things to be cheap, and we think we're being fair. And I probably wouldn't back down. I'd probably say, renew your season tickets, don't renew your season tickets, but we won't have any problem filling the stadium. Now, I'm not saying that's the right answer, by the way, because I'm well aware of what a local heartbeat does and has done, and that history that they sell all around the world comes from the COP, the fans, the banners, the flags, the songs. So there is a bit of give and take there. But I just don't think that they give a fuck about fans now. I don't. They're not in this for sporting reasons. They're in it to make money. And they've bought something. They've done a bit of work to it. They've made some good decisions on coaches and stuff. And they've, you know, seen their 300 million turn into 4 billion. So, yeah, I've never been under the misconception that they give a fuck. Or I don't think many owners care about fans, to be honest. We're customers to them. I think they're happy. If we're not, they would have sacked off Slot by now. No, not really. Like, they're not really mid-season sacking type owners, except in rare instances. And they've openly said themselves they don't like to make changes mid-season where possible. And I think, Andrew, just guessing, mate, on the cost-benefit analysis, they think that they'll get Champions League football with Arna this year, just about, and that will keep them in that revenue stream where then they can go into the window again and make some signings. But I don't know. That's what I said. It's difficult to get a read on exactly how everyone's feeling about it. I've no doubt Hughes and Edwards are probably wanting to stick by Arna because he's their guy. And it feels like the three of them are kind of some weird way inextricably linked. All their contracts expire at the same time. There's no real appetite to stay from Edwards based off a lot of reports in the last week. I think there was a piece in the Telegraph that said that it was even kind of said when Hughes and Edwards signed those 3-year deals that there wouldn't be an extension on it. That was it. They were doing that 3 years and then they move on. So, yeah, how much skin in the game have they really got? And I don't know the answer. Again, comes back to uncertainty, which there's just too much of at the minute. Sorry, Menti was a bargain for 8 million. Oh, I still can't believe that January window. If I remember correctly, Dave, it was him and Studge in the same window. And I can't remember when Suarez was, but I remember that particular January window. What a bargain. What a bargain that was. 8 million for Coutinho, who wasn't getting a game with Inter Milan. When did Gary Neville become Arsenal's biggest fan? So it's not just me then that thinks that Jarkovic. He really has been rimming them this season, hasn't he? I don't get it because they were the team we battled against for a long time, but it really does feel like he's got a hard on for Arsenal, all right. Michael said, "Do you think Rio starts on Tuesday?" I think he has to. Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't you start him? He scored. You even heard Calvin Bassey saying how good he was and how we went over to him to get his shirt. And, you've got opposition players already saying how good this youngster is and how he has no fear and how, he wasn't scared to take them on. You've seen the goal he scored. I think you'd be an idiot not to start him on Tuesday. And I think that we got a good indication that he'll be starting by the fact that he was taken off. I think that probably lets us know that he was, job done tonight, rest up, and we'll go again on Tuesday. I'll be incredibly annoyed if he isn't in the starting 11. Yin said, struggle to see enough wins for Slot to stay. Well, right now, mate, we've got a 4-point buffer over Chelsea. Now, our next league game is away at the Hill Dickinson against Everton. We know that that's going to be difficult. It's going to be physical. It's going to be loud. After that, we've got massive games coming up. We've got Villa, we've got Chelsea, we've got Manchester United. So it's going to be tough. And we always knew the run-in was going to be tough. But you look at it another way and think, right, if we're looking up, well, we're only 3 points away from Villa. So one more iffy result, and that drags Villa back into the scrap for the Champions League places. So at this point, I think we make it. I think we get into it because Chelsea are so inconsistent and others below us have dropped points. I just don't see anyone closing that gap. Chelsea they feel like they're feeling sorry for themselves as a club as well. What's your team on Tuesday? You bastard. How dare you? I'll tell you, Alan, but it has to stay between us, mate, because the preview is coming out in half an hour, so just between us. Georgie, Frimpong, Kanade, Virgil, Kirkes, Gravenberch, Soboslai, Wirtz, Rio, Ekatike, Salah. That's my team for Tuesday. Craig, dare I say that the only reason we might still be able to get top 5 isn't because of us, it's because Villa and Chelsea are woefully inconsistent. Definitely, I agree with that. And I've said this for weeks as well. It's no accomplishment for us. It's that we're probably the least inconsistent of the most inconsistent teams. And the fact that we're even in with a chance of getting Champions League football, for me, screams how bad this season has been for the Big Six. Like, it's been shocking. Do you think Rio will take the number 11 shirt? Yes, I do. Especially after hearing that that's his dream shirt. And we know now Mo's moving off. So, yeah, I think Rio will step into that shirt. And I think it's the right move. It is. I think, look, he doesn't strike me as the type of guy who's going to be put off by taking on the mantle of that number. Wirtz is 7, which I wanted him to get when he came in. So yeah, I do think Rio takes 11. And I look back, actually, I got a signed Rio shirt from last season, and it says Ngamoa on the back of it. And I thought to myself, fuck, he wears Rio on the back of his shirt. So I went back looking and checking. He wore it for the FA Cup game. So the shirt we have signed is probably going to be quite a rare shirt, because it's got Ngamoa 73 on the back of it, and it's signed by him. So yeah, this season he's got Rio on it, and in the Premier League he's always had Rio on it. So the shirt we have is from the very first time he went out, which is the FA Cup game, and it has the Liverpool lettering on it. So if he takes 11, I think the shirt becomes even more valuable then, because it's even rarer. Villa have Sunderland at home next. See, with Villa, Elliot, I wonder are they sort of torn between two things, because they've got a possible Europa League to win, and they're probably favourites to win that Europa League as well. They've got a lead after the first leg. They win this, they're into the semi-finals. We know Unai Emery fucking owns the Europa League. So, you know, Villa could have a European trophy this year, and I wonder, is that where the focus is going to be? If Chelsea lose to United next week and the team 7th to 10th all win, Chelsea will drop to 10th in the league. Those two Champions League places are still on. I think they are, yeah. I think Villa, Liverpool, Chelsea. I didn't even know they were playing United next week, to be honest with you, Medusa. So, yeah, that's going to be a tough game for them. United have one game a week. They've had 3 weeks since they played. Yeah, so like we said a minute ago, I think our own inconsistency has been masked by how poor and inconsistent other teams have been. Like, remember, we've won... Well, we didn't win a league game in February, if I'm not mistaken. Or was it March? In March. And yet we're still 5th in 3 points of 4th. And we've got 1 win in the league in 3, something like that. So, yeah, been such an inconsistent season. I can't believe we're getting away with it. If Slot is staying, why no to Heidegger coming back? Very, very good question, David. And the truth is, my man, I don't know the answer, but it's a really good thought process. Yeah, because the only reason you can think of to say no to him is that they just... It's not that they don't believe in Heidegger, because I think everyone knows how popular Johnny Heidegger was on the training ground. So, really good point, and I hope you're right, because if you're right, that means Slot's going, and I'll be happier if he goes. But, you know, it could be something as simple as maybe thinking, well, you have an assistant manager now. You know, if you want another assistant manager, we'll change it in the summer. But I hope you're right, because there's a lot of sense in what you've said. Do you know where to get a Rio 24-25 jersey? I tried last season since his debut and very impressed, but couldn't find one. Leave it with me. And I got mine from the Collector's Corner, the people that you can see in the bottom corner of the screen there. I bought my Rio shirt from them. So I'll have a word and ask if they've another signing they're at and coming up with them. It was the only one they had, which is why I jumped on it as quick as I did. But leave it with me. I'm on the hunt for a Bobby Firmino shirt myself. I've been trying to secure a Bobby Firmino because I'm still raging I didn't get one when he was here. Financially, I wasn't in as good a position back then either, so I've a bit more spare money these days. But leave it with me, White House MC, and I will ask the guy that owns the Collector's Corner for you. But don't forget, you can get yourself 20% off at the Collector's Corner. If you haven't joined the Anfield Agenda WhatsApp, please do, because we're only 4 people away from it getting to 19,000 people in our WhatsApp group. So if you haven't signed up, we're going to give you all our transfer news throughout the summer, polls on the future of the channel, polls on your opinion on things. Obviously, competition entries go in there. The form for filling out for your player ratings goes in there. So if you want to sign up, scan that QR code on the screen or use the link in the description. And don't forget, we're leaving X on the 14th, so 2 more days, and Anfield Agenda won't be posting anymore on X, so all of our news will be going into the WhatsApp. So, yeah, we'll still have Instagram, we'll still have TikTok, but we're going to try to keep directly in contact with you guys via WhatsApp. Craig, could you see Isak starting? No. I just don't think it makes much sense. He hasn't got the fitness to play 90 minutes. And more importantly, on top of that, pushing aside the fitness, we still don't look like we understand his movements. So that's going to take a lot of work to finally understand exactly how we can get the best out of him. And that's why I think us not having as many wingers as we should have has been a problem. How are you, Craig? Do you know what? You're probably the first person today to directly ask me that one. How am I? Do you want the honest answer, or do you want me to give you the I'm grand answer? How am I? Mentally exhausted, sad, angry, frustrated, and feeling a little bit forlorn, if that's the right word. I don't feel very optimistic about the future with Liverpool at the minute. And I feel like the possibility of another season of slot is taking all the goodness out of supporting the club for me. I can't. I'm struggling because everyone's hurting and I can't do anything about it. And it hurts me because that's my role. My job on here is to be the conduit between the chat, to try and put a positive slant where I can, to have a laugh where I can. But I'm not going to lie, it's been harder and harder to stay positive because it feels like, without putting it too bluntly, the club hear everything we have to say and are sticking 2 fingers up at all of us and saying, tough. He's our guy. Doesn't matter what the evidence points to. Tough. And when you're not being listened to in life, that's difficult to take. And I think Liverpool fans feel rightly frustrated about a lot of things at the minute. So yeah, that's the honest answer. Grafenberg and Gakpo, 300k a week, but Gay wasn't worth it. There is no excusing that shit in the bed on Mark Gay for me, mate. There's just none. There's no argument that I'm gonna accept for that, because who knows how the second half of the season would have gone if we'd have brought him in. Maybe it makes no difference, maybe it does. But to tell us we want him in the summer, we wanted him next summer, but we don't want him in the middle, it makes no sense. None. But Hungary won their election today. I don't know what that means. How can Hungary win their election? Did Orban lose? I don't know. I wasn't really. I know they were going to the polls today, but I don't know what the results were. What makes it worse is the fact that it makes no sense. And that's it, Biggie Mall. That's what really is. I spend every night just going on this loop around my head trying to think, is there something I'm missing? Is there an angle I'm not seeing? Am I so blinded by my frustration that I'm not seeing something that the club are seeing? Am I really being fair about how much upheaval there's been this year? Am I being too callous about it? You know, you doubt yourself, you doubt your thought processes, and then you see everybody else so upset, and that hurts as well. Craig, don't put too much pressure on yourself. You're here for us, and we're here for you. I look, you guys are awesome, and you don't put the pressure on me. Definitely, it's certainly a me thing, because this isn't just work to me. I keep saying this for years. If this was about work and finances, there's things I'd do differently to make more money. But this is about being accessible and feeling, for me, like I belong to something. Because, you know, I never really felt attached to Liverpool in some ways. I always felt like a bit of an outsider, being from Ireland and, you know, not being born and bred in the city. There's a lot of undermining of your opinion, or you know, whether you should be even going to a game or stuff like that. So this was my connection to other people who feel the same as me, who feel a little bit underappreciated, underloved, undervalued, whatever you want to say, belittled for merely loving something. Um, yeah, so this to me has been a life changing journey where I get to speak to people who feel similar to me. You know, love the club, sometimes from a distance, but try your best to be as up to date as you can, as involved as you can, and sometimes just feel angry that you don't really care, you're not really counted. Can see all you are feeling, even when we won. You've been very low key, no big smile before. Very sad, but exactly how I feel too. So depressed, and especially with all the talk about slots staying on. So yesterday, Lynn, when we beat Fulham, as you said, I didn't come on here feeling elated and ecstatic about that win because I knew that there was a cost to that win, and the cost to that win was that it's one step closer to maybe him staying, and I don't want that. And even to be in that mental place as a fan is really unhealthy, where you want your club to win, but winning actually, in a way, brings more pain. But you don't want your club to lose, but losing in a way might get rid of the problem that's causing the pain. That's fucked up. And I don't know how to deal with that because I should be happy when we win. I always want us to win over losing, but you know, I don't think there's a Liverpool fan out there that hasn't wrestled with that emotion this season of is it better to take a bit of pain for getting rid of him, or is that am I an asshole for feeling that at times? Jean Kazam said, "I'm Irish and the Dublin. Excuse me, I'm Scouse and the Irish are our people." Well, we're twin cities as well, Dublin and Liverpool. No, I don't mean that. Sorry, that isn't meant as a dig at Scousers, by the way. But there are a handful of people who feel entitled and feel like we're part of the problem. And there are so, God, like for every one arsehole, there's 10,000 amazing Scousers. But, you know, I've been walking through Stanley Park and I've heard the sneers and sneakers because we got to go to a derby and, you know, you're stopping local ticket fans going. And it's like anything in life. There's just short-sightedness and, you know, people rooted in the past that don't understand football's changed and come along. And in one way, you sympathise with them because, you know, you want them to be able to go as well. But it's, yeah, it's a bit of a weird relationship, isn't it? You know, you almost feel like you're a fan, but you're never really a tier one fan. You know, you're second level fan. Gordon said, Craig, you're a connection to the club. It's understandable you feel the pain. You do, but without you, we wouldn't even have this great community. Blessed to have it, mate. I count my blessings that this is here every day. I really do. I don't know how I'd survive COVID. And I mean, I didn't catch COVID, but I mean the whole era with without being able to log on here and chat with you guys. Like it truly blows my mind that there are people that watch from Australia each day, or Canada and America, Norway and South Africa, and we all come in here for a little chat at night. That's like that is so cool, especially for somebody in my generation who, you know, I grew up when the internet didn't exist, and you know, I remember dial up, and I remember, you know, living life without having to worry about everything being recorded and stuff like that. So this to me is it's so amazing. It's the best part of technology, and I love that we can come together like this. Darren said, "I'm a Scouser, Craig, and you're always welcome." No, as I said, Darren, I certainly didn't mean that to come across like a dick. It's not Scousers. It's like we have to acknowledge as fans that there is a real um, self righteous entitled tone to some people around the club. In that, like, the protests are a really good point, and this is why I try to keep making this point. I think we all have sympathy at people in a cost of living crisis having to put their hand in their pocket more. But I really never hear anything about the rest of us. Because do you think I wanted to pay £700 for the United ticket? Do you think many people want to pay the club's hospitality or travel partners' prices? But it's the only way we can go. And nobody ever looks out for us. Everybody assumes that anybody who goes to the game as an overseas fan is loaded and can afford these, really expensive trips. And so many people I know scrimp and save for a once-off opportunity to go and don't have any other way to get there. So sometimes I just wish when we had these spokespeople that there was a spokesperson for the rest of the world. And that's what I'm hoping this channel becomes, and that's the secret that I wasn't opening up about. That's what I want us to do. I want us to leverage our community into an unofficial supporters club where our views are spoken about and we try to push us, because we're forgotten about. We're forgotten about. Dahi said, "Hey Lord Craig, at the end of the storm, there's a slot sacking and watch us fly next season. Didn't tell Sinead Salah's leaving yet. Oh yeah, I forgot about young Sinead. Hopefully she'll be okay, Dave. And look, we will be better next season, definitely. No matter who's in charge, we'll be better than we are this season. The reselling websites need to be shut down. Oh, they're fucking disgusting. They really are disgusting. And do you know what else annoys me? If you buy a Carlsberg dugout ticket or a hospitality season ticket, you can give that ticket to whoever you want, and that's okay. But season ticket holders can't do that. And I'm annoyed on their behalf by that. Because it doesn't feel right that if you can't go to a game, you can't just give your season ticket to a mate or your dad or your brother or your sister or your auntie to go to a game. But if you pay for a hospitality ticket, all of a sudden it doesn't matter who has the ticket because you've paid more for it. That's something I've never understood how they get away with either. I know loads of people who have season tickets or regular tickets and sometimes can't go, and yes, you can sell them back in, but you can't just say here. In the same way, if you had a Carlsberg dugout ticket, you can give 2 away every week forever, and that's all absolutely fine. Again, that's weird. The amount of money that these non-locals pay to go to the match with travel and everything is just insane. Just for me to go to that game, and I'm not on my own here, I'm sure you'll all have your own stories of it. Just for me to go to the United game was about 1,500 quid, give or take, between 2 nights hotel, flights over, and the match ticket. And that's not an insignificant amount of money. That would buy nearly 2 season tickets. But yeah, you do your best, and sometimes you still feel undermined. Craig, if you want a good way to get the games, check out Champions Travel. I know about Champions Travel. I know about Marathon Travel. I've Wharton Travel. I've been through most of them over the years. But no, it just came to me last week when I was sitting there one night and I thought, you know what? Anfield Agenda needs to become an unofficial international supporters club or union, because it's about time our voices were heard. And it's about time they were heard outside of the constraints of some of the OLSCs. So that's what we're going to try and do. We're going to try and build Anfield Agenda into an international supporters club. And I'm trying to figure out exactly what that looks like at the minute, how we can go about it, what it includes, or what we can try to achieve with it. But ultimately, I feel like we need skin in the game. We need to be considered, same as anybody else when we're talking about fans. I think we need to make sure our agenda is on the table as well. The guy drinking Arsenal tears was too funny. Yeah, that was funny. I did see that. And you know what was really funny as well afterwards, where you could see a few of his mates were getting messages on their phone, and they were showing him. Yeah, that was funny. Anthony said, Craig, I'm from County Armagh, just a normal working person. I've spent the best part of 9k this season with the family travelling to Anfield. Not a single win in 6 games. Ouch. You're as diehard as anyone. Of course you are. Mate, that's a lot of wage. So that's a few very nice family holidays there. But you've chosen to spend that money supporting the Reds. And exactly. So your opinion counts. Same as everybody's. Considering VVD's business account has blocked you on X, you're definitely heard, which means we're going in the right direction. Yeah, I don't know why he blocked us. And like I said, it probably done years ago because he hasn't been posting on there for 2 or 3 years. But, it is what it is. I'm answerable to you guys. That's the way I look at it. I do what I think is best for our community, and I stand up for people that I think don't have a voice. I know that sounds very grandiose of me, and I don't mean it in that way, but that's how it all came about. I felt a little bit disenfranchised and I needed that connection, and I started writing articles and posting on X, and then that led into a podcast. The podcast led into YouTube, and YouTube's led into this, and now I think it's time to push it on again and go in a different direction, which is again why I'm trying to make sure that we have as many of you guys connected to us in our WhatsApp as we can, because it's a direct way for us to contact you. I wouldn't take anything serious from Anfield Watch. Well, I know a couple of their journalists, and I know they're very well connected, and I know that they're very good at what they do. I think Ben Spochak's brilliant, especially for up-and-coming young players. I think Sam Maguire's top-notch. But like anybody, some people, we're always going to have stories that might not come to fruition, or maybe sometimes it's just opinion. But I've gotten to know some of the guys from Anfield Watch behind the scenes a bit, and I certainly have nothing but good things to say about them. Am I invisible? No, I think I've responded to a couple of your comments tonight, Ian. I was watching the overlap fans, and this one was saying the tourists are becoming a problem for football stadiums becoming posh. That's exactly what I'm talking about. This belief that anybody who goes with a hospitality ticket's a millionaire. It undermines all fans, and it's lazy. And, we never get the credit when things go good, but we're the first ones to be blamed when things aren't going great. And I don't like it. And I don't think it needs to be the case. If we're in this together as fans, we're in this together. Dark Spine Gaming. A couple of more secs, then I'm going to finish up on this one because the preview's coming out in about 5 minutes. It would cost me anything between £200 to £600 to travel from the far south all the way up to Liverpool to watch the boys. Yep. And I remember Ben, a friend of ours, he paid more to travel up on the train from, I think he was down near like Cornwall, than it cost me to fly over. What else we got? Thank you very much for all your content and positive vibes. Look, I feel like I haven't really been the most positive lately, and that weighs heavy on me as well, because I don't like to come on and be the negative voice, but that's how I feel at the minute, so it is what it is, unfortunately. Right, let's knock this one on the head. Do you think FSG are annoyed with Hughes and Edwards? 60% of you said yes, and 40% of you said no. Right, folks, I guess that brings to an end another week here on the channel, and I want to say another thank you to you all for your time, for your support. We'll be back tomorrow. Connor will be here in the morning with a video. I'll have my 4:30 video. We'll have a late night agenda tomorrow night, and the preview is coming out in about 4 minutes time. So thank you. If you can, do hit that subscribe button before you head off. Don't forget to join the WhatsApp, and appreciate you all. Have yourselves a lovely Sunday, and we'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.